life skills, and bet you are thinking, what on earth are we talking about today with this picture? And someone asked me, let me just tell you, in one of my old classes, previous classes teaching this, someone asked me if that was me. No, not me, not Howie. Okay, so let's get going. Last time we talked about way too much toilet paper, way too much beard, way too many tattoos. Not really. We just talked about way too much in the form of risky behaviors, exercising and physical fitness. Not that we talked about way too much. But we talked about a lot of different things. And we also talked about stress and emotions. So we fit a ton of different things into the last lesson. So hopefully you guys caught all of those things, because we did discuss a lot of stuff. Not necessarily too much beard or way too many tattoos, but a lot of information. Okay, so this time, healthcare. How many of you guys are like, gosh, that's boring. Oh my gosh, I don't want to hear about that. Well, just wait, because I've got some, don't turn that video off yet. I have some funny stuff to show you guys. I'll make this very interesting, because you know it's Howie. I'm also going to talk a little bit about staying safe. You'll see some pretty funny pictures. Don't you dare turn that YouTube video off. I know you want to watch this. And by the way, look at this picture. I Googled, I think, staying safe, and this is what image came up. And I say, what the? His elbow's on fire, and he's like, ah. Yeah, kind of a weird picture. Anyways, moving on. So let's talk briefly about healthcare, because you guys are going to be on your own in a matter of just a couple years probably. Most of you guys will fall off of your parents' insurance at the age of 18. Some of you guys may be 21. But nonetheless, you need to know a little bit about healthcare insurance, although it might change. Who knows what's in store for us. But if you don't have healthcare insurance, it might be a little scary. So anyways, I want you guys to make sure that for a time being, I did not have health insurance, and it kind of is a risky thing, because if something major were to happen, it would be very expensive. So there are many different forms of healthcare that we'll go over. So make sure you have at least some kind. I mean, there's all sorts for all different people, depending on how much money you make, if you're employed by an employer that has group insurance, and so forth. So first of all, let's talk about choosing a healthcare provider. Yes. Okay, this is not really going to impact you that much at this point, but know that there are different doctors and different people you can see out there. There's MDs. We call those medical doctors. A DO is a doctor of osteopathy, which these two are both kind of very similar in that, you know, you get the same amount of schooling, but typically you'll see sometimes that a doctor of osteopathy tends to be a little bit more broader in what they do as far as care goes. They're not just about prescribing meds. Sometimes they have alternate ways of dealing with people's illnesses, which I kind of like. I don't like a bunch of meds. But not that MDs are bad, but they're just different types of medical doctors, should I say. And then a PA is a physician's assistant. Okay, a PA pretty much can do everything that a doctor does. Typically, a PA does not prescribe meds, although I've been to a PA that did, so maybe that's changed. But PA, you do not go through 4 years of schooling in residency. You usually go through 2 to 3 years. And then a nurse practitioner is right up there as well. So these are the 4 that are kind of right there. Those are the people that will really see you for something a little bit more serious than, say, just a nurse visit. Okay? So, I don't know if any of you guys know of Brian Regan, but Brian Regan is an amazing, funny guy. He's a great comedian that is nice and clean, but he's got some wise words about doctors. So let's hear from him just a bit.
I'm fine now, I think. I don't know. So they sent me to my regular doctor for a follow-up, and I was nervous going because my cholesterol was... I knew it was going to be high because last year was high, and I hadn't done anything different. What are the odds your cholesterol is going to plummet for no reason? Come on, 200, come on! 337, how can that be? I had Burger King coupons in my pocket. It's inexplicable. So I was nervous. And I realized that's the only time as an adult that I feel like a little kid. Is when I go to the doctor. You didn't do what I told you, did you? No, I didn't. What what should you have done? I should have listened when you were talking. What are you going to do from now on? Pay attention when you say things. When are you going to start? I'm going to start right now. Immediately. So, Doc. He's a good doctor, I think, you know. I told him I get heartburn sometimes, so he goes and gets me a list of things that cause heartburn. I'm looking at the list and I'm like, I already know this. I know how to get it. That's like going into the hospital with a cannonball wound and they show you a list. Here's how you get cannonball wounds. I have a cannonball wound. It's gaping. Do you have a tube of cannonball wound ointment? Number one, do not stand directly in front of a cannon. How true that is. So, my doctor looks at me and says, you should probably drop a couple pounds there, Brian. Thank you. Only your doctor has carte blanche on insults. He just insults you for a while and then you pay him for the insults on the way out. Boy, you should lose some weight and those moles are looking pretty weird. All right, how much for that, Doc? When can we get together again? Big fat mole man walking out of your office. Thanks for the confidence boost. I'm off to the Macy's Day Parade. Grab a row! How does he care? You're big and you're ugly. Next.
Okay, so I don't want to waste too much of your time, but it's pretty funny. If you guys want to see more Brian Regan, wait till the end because I have another one. Brian Regan is hilarious. He's very animated. Okay, so back to healthcare. So you may not need to know this now, but I definitely know you'll need to know it later, okay? So one thing, how do you obtain health insurance? Well, there's a couple ways. Sometimes you have health insurance through your employer if they provide you a group plan. So depending on where you work, a lot of places provide health care for even part-time employees. So that's always a great thing because usually it's discounted. You also can apply for individual insurance, which tends to be very expensive. Also, if you are in a rough time and you're not making a lot of money, or your family's in a rough time, you can apply for Medicaid. So there's lots of ways to get insurance, but you have to make sure that you are educated enough to know where to go and kind of where to find that. What's a premium? So you might hear that term every once in a while, or maybe when you start to go look for health insurance. A premium is something you're going to pay every month. So no matter if you're in a group insurance, the only thing that is free is Medicaid. So you have to make under a certain amount, and then you would qualify for Medicaid, which is free. But every other insurance has a premium. It can be very expensive depending on how old you are, depending on many other things, if you have family members that you'd be putting under that. A deductible. A lot of times in your health insurance, you have to meet a certain amount of money, just like if you have car insurance and you get in an accident. Some people have a $500 deductible where they're going to have to pay $500 no matter what, and then insurance will cover the rest. So same with health insurance. If you break your arm and that bill is $1,000, you would pay your deductible. So maybe your deductible is $1,000. So really you're like, awesome, I just paid for that entire broken arm. But if anything else were to happen, then all of a sudden your insurance would kick in and everything would be covered, okay? A copay is typically if you go into a doctor visit, sometimes you have a copay depending on your plan. You might pay $20 every time you go and see the doctor, okay? An HMO is, there's two different types of kind of insurance, general types. HMO, a health maintenance organization, is basically where, kind of like if you guys know of Kaiser, where you have kind of an organization where you're able to go and see doctors in that particular area. That it's not, and I'm not going to say HMOs aren't just Kaiser, but Basically, you have a network, and you have to go to a network doctor. Okay, you can't just go and see anybody. And typically, you have a primary care practitioner that is going to refer you to anything special. So, say you have a mole that looks kind of funky, and you need to go see a dermatologist. Well, then that primary care has to actually refer you. A PPO, on the other hand, is basically, we call that a preferred provider organization. Okay, so that's basically where you can go anywhere you want. You can see whoever you want. You don't need referrals. So typically PPOs are a little bit more expensive than the HMOs. Okay, Medicare and Medicaid. Medicare is something that you can qualify at a certain age. Medicaid is something that you can qualify if you make under a certain amount. So those are just kind of options for people in different times of their lives, and they typically are free, and they can provide you with some care for the time being. Okay, let's move on to some safety issues. So let's talk about motor vehicle and driving, because I love this, by the way. It says keep your eye on the road, because they only have one eye. Motor vehicle accidents account for most of the deaths among teens these days. This could really strike a chord with some of you guys. Maybe some of you guys have known somebody that's died in a car wreck, or has been in a car wreck before. Maybe you have even been in a car wreck, and they are serious stuff. So you guys really need to be careful when you drive. So we all speed at some point in time. That's one thing. I used to speed a ton. As I get older, I'm like, why do I need to speed again? No reason. Just remember, more accidents occur when you're speeding because it's harder to stop. A big thing, aggressive drivers. We don't like them. Don't be aggressive driver. You're going to get in an accident because someone else is not going to predict what you're doing because you're being aggressive. You're not being predictable, okay? Driving while impaired, not a good thing, okay? Not only does it cost a lot of money if you get in a DUI or get a DUI, if you get in an accident and you hurt somebody or yourself, it's a really sad thing. And I'm speaking from people that I've known that have done that, okay? Also, what you should be doing is being a defensive driver, okay? Make sure that you are watching everybody else. That's a defensive driver. Don't just worry about yourself. You got to worry about all those other crazy people out there. And most importantly, do not multitask while driving. There's a reason why they've made laws that you can't text while you're driving. So don't try and eat, okay? Because I guarantee you're going to be like, la la la, French fry. But hopefully not French fries. Carrot sticks. And listening to headphones, that's actually against the law. Talking or texting on the phone takes your attention away from the road. Some of you guys are not capable of talking and driving at the same time, so don't do it. Or have some kind of a hands-free. Okay, tending to children, and I'm guilty of that sometimes where I'm like, here, but that's not good. Don't take your hands off the steering wheel and look behind you. And then messing with the radio. That's another thing I can speak from personally. I was on a road trip by myself, and I was messing with my radio and looked down, and I had it on cruise control, and I was going 70 miles an hour, almost to fly off the road. And that was a really kind of a scary thing. So anyways, this old man's really happy. He's like, yeah. And then I thought this was a really funny picture. Tongue texting. Text, drive, and survive. It's being very sarcastic, okay? There's no such thing as tongue texting, so don't try it. Okay, let's move on. So for those of us who bike, I'm a huge biker. Love to bike. Mountain biking is my thing. I love anything that gives me adrenaline rushes. So mountain biking is super cool. And helmets are not for dorks. I wear one. You have to wear a helmet. Let me just tell you, if you're out on the trails and you're not wearing a helmet, my husband and I will be like, you must not be good enough to be doing anything worth wearing a helmet, so maybe you shouldn't be on the trail. So wear a helmet. It's not dorky anymore. I remember when it used to be, but it's not, I promise. If you're ever biking on the road, cars don't watch you. They don't watch for you. They don't care, which is a bummer because, you typically have the right of way. But if you're actually on the road though, you have to follow the same rules as cars. You have to stop at stoplights. So stay on the sidewalk and then they have to yield to you, okay? But if you're on the road, you make sure that you follow the same rules as they do. Remain visible. So sometimes if you're biking at night, if you have nothing reflective on, no one can see you. And that can be really dangerous, obviously. Ride single file on busy streets or stay on the sidewalk. So if you are riding with somebody on the street, you need to ride single file, okay? I get really annoyed when it's a really narrow road and I have, some people that are like la 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 talking away and riding their bikes, and you're like, hello, do you want to get hit? Okay, don't bike while impaired. I hope that wouldn't even be a thought, okay? Don't do it. Biking might be hard enough for some of you without being impaired. All right, follow the same traffic rules as the cars. Now, be safe at work and home. Look at my funny pictures. Things happen, accidents happen. Not an accident, kind of crazy. Not smart, don't do that, okay? But electrocution, suffocation, and falls are the biggest things that happen at home. So be aware of those things and prevent them. Guns. Let's talk about gun safety. Remember to always wear a diaper when handling a firearm. No, just kidding. I, again, found this random picture. Gun safety is important, especially if there are kids in the house. You may not be the youngest in your house. Maybe there are guns in your house. Make sure the guns are stored properly. There's trigger locks on them. When shooting guns, if you guys are hunters, because some of you guys might be, obviously you guys probably know this better than I do. You never fire a gun up in the air, and you wear protective ear and eye gear, okay? Very important stuff. So, get up, right? You're going to dress like that tomorrow? You might scare everybody. Okay, recreation safety, swimming. Drowning is a big thing. If you're not a very good swimmer, stay away from the water. No, just kidding. Actually, that's not really good advice. First of all, you could be an amazing swimmer and still drown, okay? You still have to just be aware of your surroundings. If you're in a creek versus a pool, diving when it's too shallow. But if you're not a good swimmer, I suggest that you take lessons and get good at swimming, because you never know when you'd be faced with a water situation. Playing sports. Oh boy. I'm not going to show you this video because it actually got banned, because I had a really good video that showed all these nasty sports injuries, and it made you sick to your stomach. So I'll try and find another one, and I'll post that next to this video. Scary. So if you don't want to watch it and you might think your stomach might turn, don't click on my link when I post that. Wilderness. This is what I used to do. It was really fun. I used to fight forest fires for the Forest Service. An amazing job, let me tell you. But let's talk about fires. And who knows best about fires? If you know who Fire Marshal Bill is. All right, so this is an old clip from In Living Color. Let's hear from this wise fella.
All right, children. I want everybody to settle down, because with us today is Fire Marshal Bill, and he's going to be teaching us about fire safety in the classroom, okay? Fire Marshal Bill!
Howdy, kids! I know what you're thinking. We're all perfectly safe in this classroom, right?
Right!
Wrong. Just about everything you see in here is a potential hazard. Let me show you something. Let's just say you're changing the water in this here tank, and you accidentally fill it with gasoline, like so. Later that night, the janitor comes in, there's a power outage, he lights himself a match, and he's cooking fish sticks! Now, here's another all-too-common danger in the classroom. The movie projector. Sure, looks like fun, but it can be very, very deadly. Now, let's just say you're the audio-visual helper for the day. You go to plug this baby in, and you just happen to be soaking your bunions in a bucket of water.
Ouch! I hope he's okay!
Never better. Now, let's talk about CPR.
Drop and roll! Your hand's on fire!
So it is. Well then, drop and roll is a good idea. But suppose you got a handful of thumbtacks, and you accidentally roll over them like so. But you look like Hellraiser! Hey, you kids did a nifty job on this mural. Shall we study its basic elements? You've got paper, and you've got paint. A deadly combination! Let me show you. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that the Earth is being occupied by strange, crab-like creatures from another planet. One of them needs a light. You whip out your Zippo, you flick your wick. Somebody says, look, it's Yoko Ono on a moped, and oh! that, that's for sure. Anybody else?
You can ask the crab-like people for assistance?
Get real, big kid. How about you, Missy?
Get a fire extinguisher.
Excellent, Miss Tompkins. But let's give the kids a chance.
No, the classroom is on fire. Kids, come on.
Okay, so FYI, not wise words from good old Jim Carrey. Okay, so if any of you guys have seen any of those In Living Colors from way back when, he's pretty hilarious. But let's not do that. Be careful with fires because they can start things like that, as we know. Although most forest fires are started by lightning, not usually by people. Thank goodness. Animals and weather. Those are things that you have to be. I don't know if any of you guys are campers. I love to camp with my family. So hopefully this never happens to you, but that can. You got to be careful with animals because there are different animals out in the woods. And if you keep your food in your tent, well, you're going to be dinner for this bear. And weather can really come in very quickly. I've had some camping experiences, one in Pueblo where we got basically blown into the lake because of like 40-mile-an-hour winds. So just be careful, be cautious, and be prepared. Okay? All right, so a review. Safety in all places must be observed. Okay, you guys, I know that I'm kind of joking throughout this lesson, but you really do need to maintain safety. Think about some of the situations you're in. Make sure you're making wise choices. Okay, don't think you're invincible. Okay, because things will happen and they do happen. I tend to think I'm invincible and I break my arm 3 summers in a row. Okay, so you just need to be smart when it comes to that, unlike Howie sometimes. Okay, so anyone been to the emergency room? I wonder if you guys have any interesting stories. So let's hear one last, I'm not going to show the entire video because it's pretty long, one last clip from good old Brian Regan on the emergency room.
Feels good. That's all the time I needed to fill. I appreciate that. Thank you, man. Feels great. I'm feeling good. I actually just recently had to go to the emergency room, though, and I had some stomach virus thing. I almost called an ambulance. It's weird, even considering calling an ambulance for yourself. You know? You call ambulances for other people, right? What are you supposed to say about yourself? Can you come get me? Yeah, I don't feel so good. Just come on in, I'll be lying on the floor. Just looking at the phone going, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what to do. It was at night, so I drove myself to the emergency room. That's a nice relaxing drive. No, after you. Merge, everybody merge. I'm only imploding. So I pull up at the entrance to the emergency room. No valet parking. I mean, if that's not the biggest oversight in our solar system. If there's ever a time when you want to go, can you park this because I need to collapse immediately? But no, I'm circling around a parking lot. Can I park there? I think I'm gonna die. I'm dying too. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I'll go up a couple levels. Unbelievable. I don't care if you're driving yourself or someone else to the emergency room. You still want to get out and run in with them. Are you supposed to drop somebody off and go park a car? Okay, you go in. Tell him you're shot. Ask them if they validate. Unbelievable. So I finally park, you know. check in. They ask the most insulting question when you check into a hospital. What seems to be the problem? What seems? Well, it seems. It seems like everything on my inside wants to be on my outside. But I'm no doctor. What kind of
Okay, so if you guys want to watch the rest, you guys can search for him on YouTube. So, anyways, that's it for now. Bye till next time.